The wait is finally over, ladies and gentlemen, and Blue Lock's 229th chapter is finally out, and it may be the saddest one of all time. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Animasu, as always, bringing you guys another weekly chapter review. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys an in-depth analysis, some theories, and my opinions on chapter 229 of Blue Lock. If you guys enjoyed these types of videos, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, comment on my videos, and even join the community Discord if that interests you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and please enjoy the video. So starting off back after that grueling week or so break, here's the little intro text that it gives us. Thanks to Barou's thunderous shot, the Ubers level the game back up at 2-2. Despite his unruly protege going rogue and destroying his perfectly designed plays, after seeing him undergo this extraordinary growth, just what is Snuffy feeling? Now right off the bat, it seems like this one's actually going to start off with a flashback as we see a younger version of Snuffy arriving at someone's house. He begins to knock on the door over and over, but with nobody ever seeming to answer, Snuffy ends up opening the door somehow on his own, while remembering back on these words in his head. Hey Snuffy, we're the best players in the world. Plus, I'm a genius chosen by God. With Snuffy then walking into his old best friend's living room, he finds a horrific sight that would stay in his mind for the rest of his life. Mick's deceased body lying on the floor, with substances and stuff of that nature scattered all around him. Now, if you guys actually remember all the way back in chapter 215, this backstory had already been shown off in just a little glimpse, so I guess that this is the completed version of it. Then flashing even further back into Snuffy and his friend's history, we see the two of them arguing over being paired together in training, with their coach also in the background trying to defuse the situation. Also on this page and throughout this chapter a little, there are glimpses and images of Mick's deceased body, and what I presume to just be representing Snuffy's own mind. Like I said guys, this chapter is really deep and dark to start off with, which just hit us even harder after the break. Anyways, with us then seeing a goal splash into the net, we're then even shown a glimpse of some of their in-game performances together after a goal from Marc Snuffy. As all good duos do, the two would argue and mess with one another over every little thing, which in this case was Mick insulting Snuffy's goal and jumping on his back mid-match. Then showing us all the fun they had as friends together during their parties, their car rides. They were confident that there was nothing in the entire world that they couldn't get. With us then even seeing their championship win together as they celebrated in a moment, Snuffy and Mick were confident then that they could go on to become the best players in the entire world. None of those trophies or wins would matter, however, for the next conversation that we had come to witness between Mick and Snuffy was more than likely their very last. As the scene is shown to us with Mick sitting on the couch while compulsively drinking, alcohol bottles and cans can also be seen dirtying up the whole room. With Snuffy standing behind him as the two begin to talk, the conversation that they're having pertains to them actually being dropped from the regulars, as their season performance has actually been declining. Now a drunk Mick actually laughs aloud as Snuffy says this, saying that they just need to flip the switch to go mode as they seemingly have fooled around too much. Snuffy, however, with a worried look on his face, informs Mick that this isn't actually possible due to their relationship with the club and management being beyond repair. Snuffy points out the fact that they're just gonna have to go and start over from zero, even if it's on some mid-tier team. However, Mick just isn't having it. You idiot, we're kings. I won't play unless it's with a big club. Now from this point on in their conversation, the energy seems to shift a bit here, as Snuffy tells Mick that they need to wake the fuck up. With them no longer being world-class players as they've devalued to second rates, nobodies, Snuffy simply is pointing out that they need to be better. Football is a constantly shifting, harsh and competitive world. Anyone can become a star overnight, but the opposite can also occur. With new players constantly emerging who could easily take their place, Snuffy and Mick need to take their job far more serious if they want to stay at the top. Marc Snuffy is doing exactly what a real friend does here, sharing the harsh truth with his friend that they need to grow the fuck up. It's time for them to focus up and chase for a smarter future before it's too late for them. With Mick just sitting there for a second taking in his words, he then goes on to ask Snuffy what the hell he's talking about. They promised and dreamed with one another of ruling over the 5 big leagues, however so far, they've only reigned in one of them. Snuffy here even goes on to try to explain that they can still chase their dream later on, however Mick wants to hear absolutely nothing from it as he just says that it's boring. Turning around looking like an entirely different person, Mick tells Snuffy that if he's not going to pursue that same dream with him, then he can just get the fuck out, while calling him a shitty underdog striker. Now while I definitely didn't predict the chapter title of Underdog referring to this, the impact of it remains all the same, as this turning point in their relationship would change Snuffy's life. While walking out of Mick's house and calling him a stupid brat, Mick just ends up laughing at him for trying to change the way he lives, while also offering him one last piece of advice. In any era, the people who ultimately change the world are not intelligent ones living their life the smart, right way. invention, revolution. Every innovation ultimately starts with some stupid brat's childish and nonsensical dream. With that being the last words that he would hear from Mick, the chapter then goes on to actually show us Marc Snuffy holding his dead best friend in his arms, while crying out in sorrow. I mean, even while I'm rereading this while scripting here, this scene is just hitting me on another level, with Snuffy crying his absolute heart out. Reminiscing about all the fun times that they had together, Snuffy apologizes to his best friend for not sharing that dream with him until the very end. Mick just didn't choose the same path as Snuffy, which led him down an entirely different road where not even his best friend could follow. The chapter actually then cutting back to the present with Barou's shot splashing into the net, the King of Ubers goes on to leap into the air, roaring loud for his monstrous equalizer. With players like Lorenzo, Aiku, and Nico all running along to celebrate, Marc Snuffy sends off his friend with a promise to go forth and make reality of the dream that they once shared. With everyone leaping on top of Barou, such as Lorenzo, Ryu, and the whole gang, they're skimming about how crazy and amazing his previous goal was. With Aiku and Nico even joking about him being a tyrannical bastard, they're all just hyped up and surprised that he managed to pull it off, with Barou even calling his own teammates shitty peasants. Barou even is then shown trying to pick Lorenzo up from off of his back, with Marc Snuffy then stepping into the frame as to compliment him on his goal. He tells Barou that there's no way he could have predicted that, as the king's ego had shattered all of Snuffy's designs and tactics. Although straight up telling Barou that the win is his, the tyrannical striker still doesn't look to be happy, as we see him wiping the sweat off of his face. He straight up tells Snuffy that he doesn't need his praise, hindsight analysis, or anything, as their partnership is over. However though, he does have one more thing to say to him from footballer to footballer. Honestly guys, I'm just gonna read this straight up word for word because there's no other way to emphasize the craziness that Barou is spewing. Are you really just gonna retire after this season because you fulfilled a dream you shared with your dead best friend by winning a trophy in every Big 5 league? Is that your so-called adult way of living, you second-rate striker? I won't let you run away and disappear with your precious little trophies just yet. Not while I'm still playing. Barou is saying some absurd things here as Snuffy is just listening and all, but also a cool little detail that you guys need to spread around. The star change system is finally over. Let's go! Anyways, with that detail out of the way, Barou goes even further to straight up challenge Snuffy. Screaming out that he better not retire yet, Barou points his finger at his master while confidently saying that they have a score to settle. With this statement being made in full confidence and seriousness, Aiku, Nico, Ryu, and Lorenzo are all just staring at this dude like he's a madman, because he is. In response to this, Marc Snuffy firstly just puts his head down to laugh a little, while he begins to walk towards Barou. Thinking back on and finally believing Mick Moon's last words, Snuffy's eyes begin to radiate with aura as he tells Barou that he's on for that challenge and he won't be retiring. With a smile on his face while walking past his new rival, Snuffy simply just rests his hand on Barou's shoulder while confidently exclaiming that he's the best player in the world. Until the day that I die, I too will be a goddamn brat who selfishly pursues his dreams. With that, all of the Ubers players who are watching begin to scream out in excitement, including even Lorenzo, who literally says that he loves Barou. Yeah, I guess every new Gen 11 member does have a boyfriend so far, so he just doesn't want to be excluded from Kaiser and Sai's club. Anyways, with Barou on the other hand still donning an intense look in his eyes, his sights are still set on defeating his rival of Isagi in this game. The last goal? Let's settle this once and for all, you scrub. That being the end of chapter 229, let's take a look at chapter 230's title so we can work together for a second to find out the meaning. Chapter 230's title being Buddy immediately makes me think of Yo Hiyori being subbed into the game, as we know that the star change system is now officially over. At the bare minimum, the next chapter does have a guarantee of substitutions being made, so I'm just wondering who else it could possibly be other than Hiyori. I mean, nobody could have really guessed that Mick Moon would have been 229's underdog. However, y'all can just drop your personal theories down in the comment section, so we can just look at this as a community from every perspective. My theory video for chapter 230 will be released either tomorrow on the 23rd or Thursday the 24th, so make sure to stay tuned in for that. As always, I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in and supporting the channel. If you'd like to see more high quality content like this, please be sure to check that you're subscribed to the channel, commenting on my videos, and even join the community Discord if that interests you. Thank you all so much once again, and please have an amazing day.